Should you run your own ads? Is it really worth it? The answer might surprise you. Stay tuned because in the 7-minute bingeable marketing podcast episode, we are going over if it really makes sense for you to run your own ads. And stay to the end and I will share some of my top ad tips. Hello and welcome back to the Grind and Grow Marketing Show. Today we are talking about if it makes sense for you to run your own ads. So let's jump right into this. I'm going to start off with saying places make it really easy for you to set up ad accounts and create your own ads. Why? Because they want you to run ads. What they don't really make easy is things like setting up your pixels or creating custom conversions or understanding match or keyword match types. And there's a bunch of other things out there, bid strategies and all of these things that are very complicated to really understand unless you take the time to try to understand them. They're not just intuitively known. You have to go kind of research it to understand it. So there's things like that you're not just going to log in and understand. So there is some barrier to entry when it comes to running your own ads. However, they do have an easy way to just get started, and you can by just logging in and creating some smart ads or boosting posts where you don't have to select all those. The problem is with that, you do tend to get some so-so results and probably not the results you really are looking for. So the question is should you run your own ads and is it worth it? So my answer is both yes and no. So as running a marketing agency for over 14 years, you probably would think my answer would be no, you shouldn't be running your own ads, you should hire us to do it. However, that's not always the case. I do think there are times where it does make sense to run your own ads, and we'll dive into that. I will say, first off, if you are an established business and you have a budget and you shouldn't screw around then with running it yourself. You should just hire someone to do it. You don't need to be wasting your time and wasting your money and just getting so-so results. If you have a budget and you are an established business and you want to run ads, then have someone run ads for you that knows what they're doing. It just makes sense. So then when would it make sense for you to run ads yourself? Well, I think if you're a small business and you're the one that is ultimately going to hire someone and be paying someone to run ads for you, and if you're the one that ultimately determines what the ROI or return on investment is for that, then it does make sense. I think it's a great idea for you to spend some time down that rabbit hole in the weeds of running your own ads. And why would this be? One is I do feel it's going to be educational for you, right? So you at least have an idea of what you know and what you don't know. It's going to give you a better understanding of, how things work. What are some of the challenges? You're going to have to do some research, like what are the things that you would need to know, or what are the outcomes to expect? I think it's also going to help you appreciate the person you hire more because you will have been down the road. You will know what it is like to try to run ads and get results. Okay, so let's say you are going to go ahead and run your own ads. Here are some tips for running ads, just some basic overall tips, right? So let's first start with Facebook and Instagram ads. What are some tips for those? So first off, you want to keep your audience broad and open. So in the years past, it's been where you want to really narrow down and get really specific on who you want to see your ad. Now, the algorithms have gotten so good that you want to basically let them do the work for you. I recommend then using your creative to target and call out your audience, right? So when someone sees the ad creative, they know, oh yes, this ad is for me. So you can kind of use the targeting that way. I would say 99% of the time your ad should be a conversion ad. So the objective should be for sales or conversions. Once you publish your ad, don't make changes to it for 5 to 7 days. Unless you have an error, then you might need to change it. but don't do it because of performance. You need to let your ad run and learn, and because it's going to show your ad to people it shouldn't. It's got to learn who responds to it. So if you're constantly changing, it resets it every time. So that's one of the big mistake people make, is they just put up an ad and a day later they're not seeing the results, and they're like, oh, maybe this will work better. So they make a change, and then the next day, oh, you know what, I probably should have done it this way. Oh, I make another change, and then they're constantly resetting it. So stop doing that. And going into it, know that you're going to have to be testing. What you do the first time isn't going to always just work. You're going to have to test multiple things. Okay. Let's say Google ads. If you're going to run Google ads, you want to research and learn the difference between the different keyword match types. So a lot of times people don't even think about this, but there's different types of match types, and it matters what they are. So that's a whole episode in itself. So you will want to just go search keyword match types when running Google ads to get the education on that one, or go look at our previous podcast. Okay, the structure of your campaigns matter. So separate out your campaigns or ad groups by the products or services that you offer. If you stuff everything into the same campaign or same ad group with the same keywords, it's not going to optimize properly. You want to put in the keywords that are relevant for that product and service. So if you separate them out, then you can put the relevant keywords for that product and service, and your ad will have much more relevance. I would first start off with just a handful of keywords instead of putting a bunch of keywords in there. It's going to be easier to manage and easier to see what's working and what's not working. I personally like to separate out my broad match keywords into a separate campaign. This helps me control the budget because broad matched keyword types tend to eat through your budget faster. So now I can kind of control that aspect. And a big one is if you are a local business and you're setting your location for your ads to run, then you want to make sure that you select the option that states people living in this area, or else it defaults to the people living or interested in your area. So that means that someone in Kenya that has expressed interest in Phoenix, Arizona might see your ad, and that probably is not who you're trying to target. So that is my ad tips. That is my advice on whether you should be running your own ads or not. We'll see you next week.